Hi, my name is Dr. Kathy Boehme. I'm at the Drake Center, and I am here to answer some questions about common myths in pet foods.
Dr. Boehme, is a dog able to live on a vegan diet?
Dogs are able to live on vegan diets. However, so basically, let me define a vegan diet. Basically, that's a diet that does not have any animal products in it. So the primary protein sources come from things like seeds, nuts, legumes. So they can definitely get their protein requirements from a vegan diet. However, there have been studies done on the commercially available vegan and vegetarian diets that show that the amino acid profile, amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, are not in most of those diets what is described on the label. So they're deficient in the amino acids that are required for normal growth and maintenance for dogs. Also, the other thing that's been found with those diets is that they are oftentimes contaminated with mammalian DNA, meaning there are animal products in those diets. So for me, I would not recommend that my dog go on a vegan or a vegetarian diet given the lack of an appropriate commercial diet available currently, unless my dog had a medical condition that really required a vegan diet. And I have to admit, I would either use a prescription vegan diet or I would work with a nutritionist and formulate my own cooked vegan diet for my pet, because quite honestly, right now, I just don't trust the over-the-counter commercially available diets.
Is wet food better for my dog than dry food?
Just because a food is wet or dry doesn't really tell you anything about its nutritional value. Basically, the difference between wet and dry food basically is the amount of water in it. So if your pet has a condition that really does require them to have more water, like kidney disease or bladder stones, canned diets may be a direction you want to go in because they would help alleviate that water deficit. However, it's a very expensive way to feed. In general, there's no better quality with a canned food diet than a dry diet. Unless you have a really picky eater or you have a dog that needs more water in the diet, it's not a necessity to feed canned food.
Are prescription diets better for my dog?
A prescription diet would be better if it has a medical condition that prescription diet helps treat or slow the progression of, then yes. Again, a healthy dog does not need a prescription diet. If they have a condition that your veterinarian has suggested may benefit from a prescription diet, or again, slow progression of that disease process, then a prescription diet's a good way to go. They've been heavily researched and, with feeding trials done and studies to show that they actually are beneficial. But I would go by the guidance of your veterinarian on that.
If my dog eats grass, does that mean something is missing in their diet?
Boy, isn't this the $10 million question? I mean, over a very long period of time, people have been asking that question, and I always find it very interesting. The studies have actually been done on it, and they have not actually shown any deficit in a diet based on grass eating. We suspect that there are some dogs that eat grass when their tummies are upset. It's more of a symptom of, an upset digestive tract. Rather than of a deficiency in the diet. However, most grass-eating dogs just simply like to eat grass, and there is no concern over that. Even if it makes them vomit, there's not a big concern with a dog eating grass unless it's grass that's contaminated with something. So, not a worry.
Will human food make my dog overweight?
Human food won't necessarily make your dog overweight. What makes your dog overweight is eating more calories than they expend and being sedentary. So again, human food is no more harmful than kibble diet as far as weight gain goes if they're eating more calories than they're burning off. So that's the thing to focus on.
Will free choice feeding make my dog overweight?
It could. Free choice feeding definitely is one of the culprits in obesity. There is certainly a growing epidemic of obesity in our small animal patients, just like it basically is mimicking human obesity. So we don't want to allow a dog just to eat as much as they want. There are a very small number of dogs that don't overeat, And with those animals, grazing is fine. The vast majority of dogs, though, we need to be in control of how much they're eating, and meal feeding is an ideal way to do that.
All right, last question. What are some other popular dog myths that you want to go over?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of dog food myths. I think there's a couple that are big for me. One is that a lot of people are very afraid to feed foods that have the word byproduct in the label. I think it's a poor understanding, really, of what byproducts are. Byproducts are actually organ meats. They're not the inedible parts of the animals. So they're in byproducts: horns, hooves, beaks, feet, hair, feathers. Those are not allowed to be byproducts. What byproducts are the organ meats. There's not a big demand in the human nutrition for organ meats. A lot of people don't buy organ meats for themselves. So when animals go into pet feed, there's a lot of waste. So what pet food manufacturers have done is they're able to buy those organs and put them into their diets, and they're actually tremendously healthy. I think honestly enough dogs don't get enough organ meats in their diet. So we're looking at lungs, spleen, liver, kidneys. All those things are very healthy, very digestible, very nutritious for dogs. And there's no reason to be afraid of the word byproduct. There are some marketing in pet foods where they say does not contain byproducts. But then if you go look on the labels, they're actually listed out. Heart, liver, they're actually included in there, but they've gotten away from saying that they're byproducts so they don't scare people off. But don't be worried about byproducts. They're very nutritious. So if you have any additional questions, any concerns that you have about your pet's nutrition or how you should be feeding, feel free to call the Drake Center, schedule an appointment with a doctor to examine your pet and go over those with you. Thank you.